Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Charles Green and I'm part of the marketing team here at Belatrix Software, and I'm going to be your host today. Thank you all firstly for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join this call today. And today we're going to be talking about the Internet of Things and how open source is really going to drive this revolution. Now, a couple of months ago we held a webinar together with Belatrix's CEO examining all about the Internet of Things, what it is and what it's not. But today we want to dive much deeper into the specific impact of open source on the Internet of Things. Now, I should mention at the very start that this session is going to be very open. So we've prepared some material for you, but do feel free to ask questions at any time, and you can do that either via Twitter using the hashtag BelatrixIoT, or you can ask a question on the GoToMeeting on the right bottom side of your screen. And we'll be delighted to take your questions either during the course of the presentation or at the end. Now, without further ado, I want to pass you over to Sergio Infante, who's our subject matter expert today on the Internet of Things. Sergio?
Thank you, Charles. Well, I'm a team leader, Scrum Master here in Belatrix. I'm involved in mobile projects since 2013. So in the last year I was pretty involved and focused on mobile projects and also researching some IoT topics. Well, regarding to the topic or the main topic for this webinar, how open source will drive the IoT revolution, I try to divide all the topics in 4 areas. So the first one is why the IoT will rely on open source software. So we have several reasons, but I can talk about just 6 reasons of that. The first one is greater transparency. So open source is not only access to the code available. It's also related to design, deliberation, architecture decisions. So all these topics are out in the open, and in contrast to the security process of proprietary vendors, it is easy to access the product and its community and determine if using a product is a good decision or not. Next one is greater innovation. Open source development reflects Bill Jones' law. No matter who you are, most of the smartest people work for someone else. And that's the truth for all software vendors. So using a product with a potentially much larger developer base enables access to greater innovation. There is another way this is true. However, by allowing anyone to contribute code, it allows an open source product to incorporate initial use cases, which a proprietary vendor would either ignore or dismiss. Next one is the great ability to affect product direction. Also, this is a kind of cliche in the software industry. Those who spend the goal get to steer the boat, is the metaphor. So if you are a small customer of a significant proprietary software vendor, you better hope your product objectives align with the vendor or the large users. Otherwise, your feature requests will get tossed in this particular uncircular file. With open source, you can directly interact with developers to present your use cases, and if important enough, you can contribute code that implements your desired functionality. Next one is related to the cost. So cost savings may be only part of this open source advantage, but it is still a big part. No matter what size organization is, for example, Netflix can have a little charge, $8 per month, for example, for its services. The reason for that is they are focused on the content and not building an operating system or a testing framework. They use open source. So these companies get for example, the Lego blocks for free, so they can spend time building a particular product and focus on the content. Enterprise have always customized package software such as REP applications, except now with open source that customization is less expensive. The other one is related to the quality. Better quality of code is a great advantage of open source. Open source software and development fans always refer to the methodology that produce this software. The reason is the developer community can identify and address a problem very quickly, where a single coder might plot or maybe not to get the solution, at least for a while. So, for example, Bank of America integrates open source components into the custom developed application. After the process of certify the application or the library that they are using, they can reduce costs and also increase the quality of code on these products. And the last one of this advantage is that open source everywhere. You can find all operating system, programming languages, web browsers, in the office, in the enterprise, and everywhere. So integration, it's easier than that. And other competitors. So this is the reason why IoT must rely on open source. But what about if we are talking about approach? We can consider two different open source approach of IoT. So the first one should be hardware. There is an open source hardware community that are focused on building some electrical components. So let's talk about of them. The first one is Arduino Jam. One of the most complaints problems Arduino is the lack of connectivity. So with this Arduino Jam, solve the problem. This board comes with Wi-Fi built in it, and it comes with a microprocessor ready to use it. So this is a board just for $75, and you can get this hardware and ready to use it. You can combine with Python or Ruby or maybe PHP or Node.js. Next one is a great competitor. It calls Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is a series of boards the size of the credit card. It's like a computer. Also is developed in United Kingdom and with the Raspberry Pi Foundation. They build some products and also some components, additional components for this board, and it's very used in schools and also in universities. So the next one is a Beagleboard. Beagleboard is inspired on Raspberry Pi and also combined with Arduino. So this Beagleboard is produced by Texas Instruments. Also, they using this board for SD cards and also to the connectivity for Wi-Fi, and they include some educational package for college. Next one is Flutter. Flutter is programmable processor designed for some fans for Arduino. So they combine the designs of the board of Arduino and combine with Wi-Fi and also with a microprocessor. So they can use it and also combine with some security chips using with robotics. So it's a good product for create new devices. Next one is MicroDuino. MicroDuino is a version of Arduino of the size of a coin. So also they can build just a piece of a puzzle. Um, all the all the work inside this MicroDuino is ready to build some robots. So in the web page of this project, you can find some interesting projects that use 2 or 3 these MicroDuino boards, and is ready to build robots or maybe some components ready to use it through the internet and through the cloud. Next one is kind of competitor. The name is OpenPeaches Flyport. This system is also a processor with a low power usage, so you can use low energy, and this is ready to work with TCP/IP services. With this component, you can connect your device through the internet very easy. And his competitor is the next product. It names Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a wireless microcontroller, also ready to use it as a own network using mesh. Mesh is kind of identify some similar devices on the near areas, and you can construct your own network. Also connecting to the web, and also you can get that information through the cloud. So that's a good product with that. This Pinocchio works with Arduino and also works with Raspberry Pi. Next one is Raspweek. This Raspweek product is produced by the creators of Raspberry Pi. This is a component just ready to plug in to the board, and this get access to the Wi-Fi, and also adding some SDK tools for programming some sensors and also some devices to share information through the internet. And the last one of these products and these boards is T-Cell. T-Cell is the first product produced on the University of Boston. They convert in a startup. They create several boards like a Lego. So this board is work with JavaScript, and that's a good advantage because you can use it the same programming language on web on this hardware. So this is those were the most relevant projects related to the open hardware. But what about software? We have a lot of products in that as well. So related to the software, the first one is kind of a platform. It names OpenIoT. This contains a middleware for sensors and also a network. This comes with some protocols ready to internet connect objects, and also with a semantic model. And you can use cloud and Iotivity computing services. This is ready to work with security, and it's a good framework to start working with hardware and also using your data through the backend. The next one is an operating system. It calls Raspbian OS. It combines the power of Debian, one of the most important Linux distribution, and also use the software component of Raspberry Pi and even the hardware for that. It's an operating system ready to use it on this Raspberry Pi, You can include media players, and also you can include some package that includes on Debian. So that's a great one. A great competitor for that is Contiki. Contiki is the open source OS for the Internet of Things. This is ready to work with microcontrollers of low power. Even they are ready for use it with a low energy consumption, so you can save battery. Next one is Kuya. Kuya is a platform that can work in a private network and also in a local network, a public one. They are ready to work with like a middleware, sharing data between the backend and front end. In this case, using OSSGI protocols. The next product, it names OpenHub. This one is just related to the user interface. You can combine your devices, and also with that data, you can build your own dashboard just to control lights, doors, some lockers, some sensors. So it's ready to use it, and it's open source. OpenHub is the first one project on this category that you can include on your mobile devices and also in the web. The next one, it calls the theme system. This is a set of software components and network protocols. It's written on Node.js using JavaScript, and is ready to install on laptops and also in a single board computer. You can customize boards just to give some colors for sensors, some temperature, humidity, and sensor like that. Next one is Freeboard. Freeboard is a product based on HTML. Use it on the to control local environments, to control temperature, video cameras, and also you can use it as a dashboard for industry. So it names Freeboard. And the last one for these products is IOtivity. IOtivity is an open source project sponsored by Linux Foundation and also with the Open Internet Consortium. This is a project focused on build a framework, a software framework, to easy connect devices and also using cloud computing. So these products are focused on using devices and also share information through the internet. We have a lot of cases of studies. In this case, we are going to talking about 3 examples of great use of open source and converts into really good business. The first one is Droplet. Droplet Hub basically connects your home using 100 of connected products, cameras, sensors, lights, doors, and also some security devices. And this is simple to use it, easy to start, and also they have good compact design. So the focus on the product is if you have a new devices, this Droplet can determine and automatically detect a new devices, then connect and then unify with the other products into your home or your office. So they are selling right now these services and also selling some devices and hardware. The next one is Rescure. Rescure is a company that is focused on security, on testing some products and also testing some equipments. So in that case, Rescure is using open source hardware and open source software to create new testing products and using some robots and all chip technology. Rescue is used by the government and also with the security agencies and test laboratories. The next one is Room 5. Room 5 is a great company to is focused on construct products that should connect to the Internet of Things. They work with companies related to the consumer electronics, manufacturing, and mobile devices. And Room 5 is oriented on protect the data and also process of the clients. So they are using hardware and software and open source, and they can make good projects with that. So this is our three of several use cases of success using open source, but they are also contribute to the open source community. So there is several ways to contribute to open source, and we can see the following. So the first one, how to contribute, is coding. Development new features, new products, also contribute with new ideas and as a code. It's the best way to contribute to open source. It generates more value to the project. But it's not the only way. If you are ready to test some product, you maybe focus on the quality, and you should see what options we have to the box. So the next one is bug reporting. If you can find some errors on the software and also on these open source projects, you should report this bug. That helps a lot. Regarding we can see, or you can see several errors, and they can find a solution, or they can find a best way to create a new way to fix it. But sometimes bug reporting is not enough. You should, or you can go one more step. The next one is bug triaging. There are several reportings that some bugs are maybe wrong bugs, maybe some are minor, or are a lot of blockers and critical ones. So a project needs bug triaging for that. Bug triaging is the way we can categorize a lot of issues and determine some ones are ready to fix it, or maybe some are not relevant to the project. And if you contribute with that, also you can combine with coding, so you have bug fixing as an next one. Bug fixing is a best way to contribute on the open source project regarding the maybe you know how to program, how to code, and also if you can contribute fixing problems, it's a good way to interact on this open source. Not only as an individual person, as a company, they can involve in bug fixing of open source project. But what about if a company can contribute with code? The next topic is contribute as a graphic design or user interface design. A lot of open source project has a lack of design, has a lack of user experience. So a company or individual person can contribute with open source as a graphic designer, creating new user interfaces, creating new buttons, icons, images, and all the work related to that. That's a great work as well. The next one is translation. In this particular area, we can find two sub-areas. One is localization and the other one is internationalization. One is related to the languages and the other one is related to the unit of exchange unit or money, or maybe date format, or some metrical units and that kind of things, of values. So translate and also contribute with this localization can make an open source project comes to worldwide open source project. So in the last one, you can contribute as marketing. Documented your use case, publishing your blog posts, and also contribute with some promote of using the open source products are a great way to contribute to them as well. And the last one is you can contribute with money. These open source projects receive donations in several ways, create some foundations that make some money in order to get more resources to continue building the product. Linux Foundation is one big example of that. It's a great foundation receiving a lot of money to support the Linux development. And also the other great one is the Apache Software Foundation. It's also related to that, several projects that probably you use on the internet. So that's ways how to contribute with open source, and also we can give or return the advantage that we receive using open source. So I think that's all. That's all the topics that are involved into the open source and also related to the IoT. And if you have any questions, you should using the hashtag or maybe using the chat or the blog post.
Excellent. Thank you, Sergio. It's been a fascinating journey through the Internet of Things and through open source. And as for the listeners on the line, as Sergio mentioned, if you want to ask a question, either do that via the Twitter hashtag Belatrix IoT or on the chat box to the right-hand side of your screen. And actually, I see we have one question which has come in from the audience already, so perhaps whilst we're waiting to see if any others come in, we'll just take that. And the first question, Sergio, is that you mentioned there are a lot of IoT hardware devices, from the Raspberry Pi to Arduino. For those people on the call who are perhaps just starting off on their journey with the Internet of Things, would you recommend any one of those in particular? Is there any one thing perhaps you should, or should you take a selection of all of them? What is a particular approach you would recommend?
All right, that's a great question. Always the first recommendation will be Arduino. Regarding that, they were the first ones to get in this market, and also there is a lot of documents and videos and tutorials to use Arduino boards. So that's a good way to start in open source hardware.
Okay, excellent. Let's just see if any more questions come in. Just give it 1 or 2 minutes. Just check on Twitter. Okay, so we don't have any questions at this time. So I would like to thank everyone for taking the time to join the call. Also, many thanks to Sergio for sharing your expertise in this call today. We're going to be sharing a recording of this webinar within the next 24 hours, and you can find that on our YouTube channel after the call. But with that, I'd like to end the webinar today and say thank you again to everyone for attending, and wish everyone a great end of the day.
That's great.